Welcome to the final episode of the governance module. Up to this point, we have focused on the AI side of the equation, permission and failure mode. This episode is about the other half of the equation, your data. It doesn't matter how well you have scope permissions or how carefully you have built custom tools. If the underlying Salesforce records are inconsistent, duplicated, or stale, then it is garbage in and garbage out. This is an old idea, but natural language makes it sharper than ever. Here's why this problem is actually more dangerous with an AI assistant than with a traditional report builder. A report builder forces you to pick an exact field value from a drop down. You can't accidentally ask a fuzzy question. Natural language removes that guardrail entirely. You can ask Claude a loosely worded question against loosely structured data, and it will still produce a confident, well formatted answer. The confidence of the output has nothing to do with the reliability of the underlying data, and that gap is exactly what this episode is all about. Let's start with a very common and very sneaky problem. Sam asked Claude to group accounts by state and pull the count for California. Let's copy this and then send it to Claude. Just go back to Claude. I'll send this to Claude. In the Salesforce org, billing state is a free text string tree, and California is split across two literal values, California on 7 accounts and CEO on 2 more. That's enough to create an undercount if Claude grows natively, and either Claude, not a human glancing at the result, would necessarily notice why. In the current Salesforce org, the cleanest duplicate style example is not the exact same name account collision. It's ambiguity. You have two near match accounts, Northwind Solar Company and Northwind Solar Distribution, which are close enough to force a human judgment call. And you also have two contacts named John Remier, one under Acme Corp and one under Bright Peak Logistic. That's the same failure mode as episode 12. The question looks simple, but the data doesn't give Claude a unique target. Let's copy this and send this to Claude. Let's allow this once. So Claude comes back and say that there are two John, and for the field, it says not able to find a phone field. In the Salesforce org, the better population example is opportunity type, not record type. This org only has the master option record type, so record type is not the live issue here. But opportunity type is very sparse. Only 29 out of 71 opportunities have a type value, which means 42 are blank. So if Sam asks for all the new customer or upgrade deals this quarter, Claude can run a perfectly valid filter and still undercount badly because the classification itself is missing on most record. Let's copy this, send it to Claude. running the SQL. The current Salesforce org still supports the broader lesson here, but with a more careful framing. The schema exposes fields like SLA expiration date and upsell opportunity on account, plus current generators and main competitors on opportunity. Some of those fields are populated on real records. What Claude still cannot know from the schema alone is whether the business actively trusts those fields today for reporting or decision making. Assistance and population are not the same thing as institutional trust, and only an owner or written documentation can answer that. So if we have fields, but if the data is not being populated over there, it's not that Claude can be trusted in providing the information. Let's make this tangible with a quick snapshot of what an audit like this actually turns up in the org. Two California variants sitting in billing state, California and CA. Two contacts named John on different accounts. 42 out of 71 opportunities missing type, which is about 59% blank. And four schema visible custom field that you would want to validate with an owner before treating them as source of truth. None of this is catastrophic. That's exactly the point. It looks normal enough that someone could trust it too quickly. So here's the actual practice before you expose a new object or workflow to Claude. Spend 15 to 20 minutes running through a short audit. Check whether key fields are genuinely structured or just free text pretending to be structured. Estimate your duplicate rate on account and contact, and check whether fields that are central to your planned use case are actually populated, not just defined in the schema. This is cheap insurance against a much more expensive problem, someone trusting a wrong number in a real meeting. There is a first concrete check, and it's a query you can run in your org. Group any field you plan to have Claude filter or summarize by and look at the distinct value that comes back. This immediately shows California split between California and CA. A genuinely clean Picklist field gives you a short, consistent list. A free text field gives you a multiple literal string that actually means the same thing, and that's your signal to either clean the data or normalize the logic before trusting the result. Second check whether the org has standard account and contact duplicate rule metadata configured, but there are currently no duplicate record set rows to review. So the live proof path here is manual. Sort by name, scan for near matches, and look for repeated contacts. In this org, Northwind Solar gives you a near match account example, and John Ramirez gives you the repeated contact example. You're not trying to fix every ambiguity today. You're trying to know if it exists so you know how much scrutiny to apply to count and rights. Third check, and this one trips people up because it's counterintuitive. A field existing in your schema tells you nothing about its actual population on real record. In the org, if I do a simple count on opportunity type, it shows only 29 or 71 opportunities have a value, 42 are blank. If the population rate is that low, you have three options: fix the underlying data, change the question you are asking, or explicitly document that the field is unreliable. So both Claude and the human reviewing its output know what to lean on it. The fourth and the most important step is writing down what your ambiguous business term actually mean in org. In this org, a better live example is something like upgrade deal. Does that mean opportunity type equals existing customer upgrade, or are you referring it from account history and prior closed business? Write the definition down, and if type is blank, document that blank means unknown, not probably an upgrade. Once you define terms like that, put them in Claude.md or in your tool description so Claude uses the same definition every time and share them with humans reviewing the output too. This single habit prevent most of the ambiguity driven failures from episode 12 before they ever happen. Before connecting a new object to Claude, run through this list. Have you checked Picklist versus free text usage on the field that matter? Estimated your duplicate rate. Checked actual field population rather than just field existence. And document the ground truth meaning of anything ambiguous. Do this once per object as you bring it into scope and revisit it whenever your data model changes meaningfully. Let's tie the whole module together. Episode 11 gave you the permission model, a dedicated user, and a deliberately scoped permission set. So Claude's blast radius matches what you actually intend. Episode 12 gave you the failure mode, overboard queries, wrong record update, hallucinated fields, and the review habits that catch everyone. Episode 13 gave you the data side, half of the picture, auditing your data before you trust natural language answers against it. Together, these three episodes are what separates the cool demo from something you'd actually run against real Salesforce data. With governance covered, the next natural question is the practical day-to-day one. What does this actually cost to run? What are the real usage limit you will bump into? And since a lot of you are probably wondering, how does this whole approach compares to Salesforce's own Agentforce platform? That's module 5, and it's where we get concrete about the numbers instead of principles.